Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, the community, and some coaching to pursue God-sized goals, live intentionally, and build lives of significance. And one of the greatest issues that I believe is plaguing men today is a lack of confidence. And this is one of the most common issues I hear in working with men on a regular basis. It's something that I've dealt with for a lot of my life, something I'm continuing to work on. But I believe it's just one of the main factors that's keeping men from fully going after their God-given purpose and their mission. It's one of the main factors that's keeping men on the sidelines instead of in the game. It's one of the main causes of things like passivity and apathy. And the enemy knows if he can destroy your confidence, he can keep you from being the man God created you to be. He knows that a confident man who is fully alive, living in his passions and pursuing the things God has put on his heart, that is a dangerous man, right? That's a dangerous man. And I believe that if you're here, you want to be a man that steps into your full potential. You want to be a man that lives with boldness, that lives with confidence, and that makes an impact on the world. And I know for me, I don't want to come to the end of my life and look back with regret because I was scared to do the things that I always wanted to do. I don't want to look back with regret knowing that I let a lack of confidence keep me from chasing my dreams, from pursuing God-sized goals. And I don't want that for you either. So today I want to give you 5 things that you can do to grow in self-confidence. And this is by no means some exhaustive list of ways to grow in confidence, but these are some that have personally helped me a lot. So I hope they can be some great tools for you to use. So I'm excited. Let's go ahead and jump in. Number 1, you need to develop the habit of remembrance. Develop the habit of remembrance. This is one that you probably don't usually think of when you're thinking about developing confidence, but it's actually been one of the most powerful tools that I've used to grow in this area. All throughout Scripture, God instructs his people to remember the things that he has done. In Joshua 4, when God dries up the Jordan River so the Israelites can walk safely across, he instructs Joshua to have the people pick up 12 stones from the river and build an altar to the Lord so that they always remember what he did for them that day. It says, I want your children to be able to come back and see, and you could tell the story of what God did here. At the Last Supper in the New Testament, Jesus instructs his disciples to take the bread, right? Take the wine, to eat them and drink them in remembrance of him. That every time we do that, we would remember the sacrifice that he's made for us. So you know why the Lord told us all throughout Scripture to remember the works he's done? It's because we often get so short-sighted and so focused on just the problems right in front of us that we fail to remember everything that God's done for us in the past. All the times he's come through, all the promises that he says, like he will never leave us or forsake us. And when I was going through one of the toughest seasons of my life, I actually got in the habit of writing down all of the moments the crazy God moments that were happening. God kept showing up in just miraculous ways. He kept showing up and providing for me, kept showing up and being there for me. And I just made a document. This was just in Google Drive, just a Google Doc. And I would just write down all the God moments, the lessons learned, the ways he helped me, the ways that he showed up time and time again. And if I go back, it's impossible for me to read this document and not be confident that God has my back. Like, it's impossible for me to read through that document and not acknowledge the fact that God is with me, that he is for me, that he's working in my life. True confidence, I believe, starts with God. If you're a man of God, true confidence starts with God. It starts when you know him. It starts when you remember who he is and what he's done in your life. When he says in Isaiah, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. That's where confidence begins. He says, I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And when I remember who he is, I know that I can live in confidence. When I think back to all the times he showed up in my life, I know that he's with me now. When I know that my identity and my validation is secure in God and a God who's unfailing and unchanging, then I can go forward in confidence. So I just want to encourage you to get in the habit of just writing down the God moments in your life. So many times I just forget what he's done. I get so caught up in what's happening here and now. But when I go back to that list and I pull back and I look at how God has worked and moved in my life, I'm instantly reminded that he is with me, that he is for me. So as a man of God, your confidence must start with God. That's the confidence that can't be shaken. No matter what circumstances you're facing, that is something that is steady and unchanging. I know I'm at my absolute best when I remember who God is and what he's done for me. So that's number one, develop the habit of remembrance. Number two, here we go. This is one you probably hear more often when talking about developing confidence, and that's keep the commitments that you make to yourself. This is a huge one when we talk about developing confidence. It's a much bigger deal than you usually think that it is. If you want to develop confidence, begin by sticking to the commitments you make to yourself. You need to develop the identity that you are somebody who comes through. And you do that by giving yourself evidence and proof that you are that person. If you constantly blow off the commitments you've made, you're telling yourself that your commitments are not worth anything to you. You're telling yourself that what you say, what you commit to, that it doesn't really matter. And one of the quickest ways to lose confidence is when you're not living in alignment with your vision and your values. If you're constantly doing things that are not in alignment with who you want to be, you're going to feel that tension. You're going to most likely begin a cycle of negative self-talk and beating yourself up if you're feeling that tension where you're not doing the things that you want to do. But in the same way, when you stick to your commitments and you live in alignment with your vision and values, you give yourself votes of confidence. And it builds a lot of momentum in your life. So when you tell yourself you're going to wake up early and go to the gym, and then you actually do it, you give yourself a vote of confidence. When you commit to hanging out with your friends and you stick to that commitment, even if you end up feeling tired that night, you're showing yourself that you're a committed person. You're giving yourself evidence that you are a committed person by your actions. When your actions line up with your words, you're going to feel a boost of confidence. Living in integrity is absolutely essential to living a life that is full of true confidence. If you know who you are, if you know what you want to be about, if you know your mission, you know your values, and then you actually live consistently in alignment with those, you're going to feel an immense sense of self-worth and of confidence. The more you do the things you know you're not supposed to do, you're telling yourself that you're not worth the investment. You're telling yourself that you're not a disciplined person. You're telling yourself you're not a committed person, that you're not a healthy person. If you want to build confidence, start with some small actions that you can take and just commit to sticking with them. You'll build confidence as you keep your word. You'll build confidence as you take consistent action. And as you take consistent action, you build momentum. And when you build momentum, you just feel that confidence continue to compound and compound as you go. So stick to your commitments. It's a big deal. We usually don't think that it's a big deal, but it affects our confidence tremendously. So number three, the third way to grow your self-confidence is to grow in competence, to grow in your skills, abilities, and knowledge. So think back when you were first learning to ride a bike. It seems terrifying, right? That first time. It seemed extremely difficult. You probably fell a few times when you first did it. But as you fought through those failures and as you fought past the learning curve, you grew in confidence. Now you can probably hop on a bike with no worries and in complete confidence because you developed the skill necessary to ride a bike. This is the same with anything else in life. The more competent you are, the more confident you are. You do things every day that you have complete confidence in yourself to do because you've developed the skill or the knowledge necessary to do it well. So a lot of times, your lack of confidence in different areas of your life can just come down to simply a lack of skill or a lack of knowledge. Think back to the first day on a new job. You probably didn't feel super confident with all the new roles and responsibilities. Most of the tasks probably felt really difficult at first. But as you got the training, as you practice, as you just continue to show up and you learned and you grew in skill, now you can show up to work and you do those activities probably without even really thinking. When at first they seemed really hard and you were lacking confidence and you felt nervous and scared, Now these are things that you do every day because you actually develop the skill necessary. So here's a very practical thing that you can do. When you identify a situation that you're not very confident in, just ask yourself, how can I grow in my competence in this area? How can I gain more knowledge? How can I develop my skill? How can I practice more? These are simple things that you can ask yourself. And most of the things that you feel a lack of confidence in, you're most likely just not taking the time to develop the necessary skills to be confident. You're most likely not putting in the reps it takes to get good and to gain that confidence. You also, this is a big one with this, is you need to be okay with not being good and not being completely confident right away. Know that the confidence will come as the competence comes. So be okay with not doing it perfectly the first time. Be okay with not being completely confident before you try something. When you understand that there's a process to everything and that you will gain the confidence as you gain experience, then you're going to be willing to just jump in and do things before you feel totally ready to do them. So remember, as you gain competence, you will gain confidence. All right, number 4, this kind of goes hand in hand. But a lot of times, a lack of confidence simply comes down to a lack of preparation. The times where I feel the most nervous and the least confident are usually the times when I didn't take the necessary time and energy to prepare. So if I were to come into this training today with zero preparation, I would be feeling extremely nervous right now. I would not be feeling confident at all in my ability to deliver a good training. But in your life, think about if you were tasked to give a big business presentation at work. So this is your responsibility. You're going to give the presentation. If you just threw together a few key points 10 minutes before the presentation, you just walked up there, tried to wing it, you're probably not going to feel super confident in your ability, right? But if you spent a ton of time thinking it through and you developed some slides and you got feedback on it, you refined it, and then you practiced it over and over and over, you'd go up there feeling way more confident when you actually made the presentation. So the more prepared you are, the more confident that you're going to be. When you know you didn't put in the work that you should have beforehand, the more nervous you're going to be and the more you're going to experience that lack of confidence. A lot of times in your life, it can be as easy as that you're not a confident, you might think that you're not a confident person, but in reality, you might just not be a very prepared person. So think about the areas of your life where you don't feel confident. How can you become more prepared? What work can you start doing now to grow in that area and to feel prepared the next time you're faced with that situation? Growth doesn't just happen automatically. You can't sit around and just hope things that are going to change and that you're just magically going to develop confidence. You must put in the work. You must grow in your skills. You must grow in your preparation. You must put in the work beforehand to feel as prepared as possible, and you'll experience a higher level of confidence. All right, the last one. This is one of my all-time favorites. It's been an absolute game changer in my life, and it's one that you rarely hear when talking about building confidence. I first actually got this from an author and speaker. His name's Rory Vaden. And he said something, and I put it through my filter, my lens, and kind of looked back through my life. And I realized like how true this has actually been as I've reflected on it more and more. But he has a quote. He just says, this is from Rory Vaden. He says, "There is no fear when the mission to serve is clear." There is no fear when the mission to serve is clear. When you make everything about you, you're going to experience a lot of fear. You're going to experience a lot of nervousness. You're going to experience that lack of confidence. When you make it about others, that fear seems to go away. Fear is typically self-centered. When I'm afraid, I'm usually thinking things like, what are these people going to say about me? Are they going to like me? Am I going to do a good job? Am I good enough? Those are all very self-centered questions. They're very self-centered thoughts, and they usually increase my anxiety. They usually increase my fear. They usually increase my lack of confidence. But when I go into a situation thinking, how can I serve these people to the best of my ability? How can I love this person? How can I encourage them? How can I inspire them? How can I make sure this person's life is better after they're with me? When I go in with that mindset and that attitude, I typically don't experience any fear, or at least way less, because it's about them. The results are about them. I don't really care that much of what they think about me. I care about how they feel. Think about this. If there was a car accident and somebody was injured and you ran up to them, I guarantee in that moment you aren't thinking about, how your hair looks or if your outfit is nice or if that person's going to like you. Like, you're not thinking those things at all. You're focused on one thing, helping the person. You're getting out of the way. You're focused on helping and serving. When I get on a stage to speak and I'm only thinking about how these people are going to receive me, if they're going to like what I say, or, what are they going to say about me, then I'm terrified. I'm a nervous wreck if that's my mindset before I'm going up to speak. But when I step up there knowing that God has given me a message to share and that I want to help people, that I want to inspire them to be great, to encourage them to pursue their dreams and to grow in their relationship with God, the nerves typically settle way down. And I just get up there in confidence knowing, hey, I'm here to serve and God has called me to this exact position at this exact time. So the next time you're experiencing a lack of confidence, just ask yourself, how can I serve others in this situation? How can I make this about others instead of me? When your intentions are to serve, you won't be near as concerned with your looks or your performance. You're going to be concerned with others, and you can have confidence that your intentions were good and your motives were pure. When your mission to serve is clear, you don't have to fear. So to recap those 5 practices, the 5 practices that are going to help you grow in confidence. Number 1, develop the habit of remembrance. Remind yourself often of who God is and what he's done in your life. Number 2, keep the commitments that you make to yourself. Make sure you're living in alignment with your vision and your values. If you do that, you're going to feel a deep sense of self-worth and confidence. Number 3 was develop competence. As you grow in your skills and your knowledge, you'll develop more confidence. Just trust the process. Start taking action, knowing that more confidence will come as you get better. Number 4 was always be prepared. The more prepared you are, the more confidence you will have. And the last is to make it about others instead of yourself. So thanks for joining me today. I hope those 5 practices are helpful. Remember, you have a God who promises to never leave you or forsake you. You have a God who is for you. And so you can walk in confidence knowing God made you and he doesn't make mistakes. So go live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.